Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Detour Tales from Hell. Got one that everyone was asking for, the hotel industry. I'm literally talking to the hotel boss. My really close friend, Faisal, is a major player in this industry. He's going to walk you through what he does, but more importantly, give you his perspective, how he envisions the hotel industry coming back and where the opportunities are. It's not all darkness. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Stay tuned. All right, everyone. People have been asking me for a Tales from Hell from the hotel industry. So I went to the only person I know, the Hotel Boss. Your name is literally Hotel Boss. And I think it's going to be really interesting what you have to say. Could you give people a quick background on what you do? You've been on the podcast before, but it's probably like a year and a half ago. And so I just want to give people a refresher.
So we're one of the largest B2B distributors of hotel rooms. So essentially, we will buy a hotel room from Bellagio at a discounted rate. We'll mark it up and then sell it to, like a Virgin Holidays. So when you go online, we supply other companies that sell to end consumers with hotel rooms, and then they mark it up and sell it to the end consumer.
So you're not that busy right now.
Yeah. I'm busy doing all things that are not generating revenue. So busy canceling reservations.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a couple questions. One is this the biggest, call it, calamity to ever happen to the hotel industry, like worse than 9/11?
Yeah. So far, it's estimated at over 6 times the impact of 9/11.
Wow.
And that's still an ongoing calculation, because every day more hotels close. It doesn't seem as though in the near term future that a lot of hotels are going to open up, or that countries are going to open back up and be able to travel.
So how much of domestic hotel business is foreign travelers?
Well, I mean, it varies by market. It even varies by hotels, but it's significant. And even if you take away the foreign travelers, so Bonotel, we have huge distribution into the European market. So 40% of our revenue will come from UK, European countries as well. Obviously, that comes to a screeching halt because people can't fly here, once Trump had the travel bans. But then also, even if you could fly here, you hear in the news all the airlines canceling all of the flights to the U.S. and so, vice versa.
Absolutely. And so the questions I have is like, what is going to happen to the hotel and travel industry? Like, is this such long-lasting damage that it takes... Like, there's obviously going to be bankruptcies and people that are going to have to shut down because they have no choice. Who is that first layer of people that you think that will go out of business that just can't stomach this?
Well, I mean, you see what a lot of people don't understand is when you hear about big brands such as Marriott, for example, Marriott doesn't own any of their hotels. It's an asset light strategy. And so they basically are a management company for a hotel. So let's say, D, you bought this nice piece of property, this hotel, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah. You'll say, hey, Marriott, I want to use your Ace Hotel, which happens to be, or AC Hotel, which happens to be near, the billboard right in front of your office.
Yes.
The AC Hotel, and you let Marriott manage it, and you utilize and, pay them licensing fees for utilizing, one of the Marriott brands. So now when you look at all these hotels having to close, it's going to be problematic because, the small independent operator, or the D who owns one hotel, you can't manage, you can't operate out of that. You don't have the financial cash flow to withstand this. And then when you look at, let's say you're a management company of your own, and you have 5-10 hotels that are closed, generating no revenue. Even if you have a Marriott brand as your partner, you're going to go out of business. So I think that a lot of hotels that are closed now because of the pandemic are going to stay closed and will reopen as another hotel with a new owner.
Got it. Because and so you think there's going to be people that feel opportunistic and will come and take these properties. Do you see like a long-term, or let's say call it the next 5 years, just a downturn in the travel industry because of this fear that's been created? Because it is a habit-changing fear that's been instilled. So do
Yeah.
you think that like people will just travel less? Do you think people will, the way they travel will change? And does that help hotels? Does that hurt an Airbnb because you don't know how it's going to be cleaned? Whereas a hotel, you at least have a sense of how it's going to be cleaned.
Yeah, I think that there, if I unpack like a lot of that question, when you look at it, travel will inherently change forever. I don't foresee, when I look at, what's going on now, there's going to be, the ramp up, which will start to happen, and that's going to happen from leisure travelers. The ramp up is going to be, those leisure travelers that are sort of starting to go short distance, traveling more regionally before they maybe go long haul. I guess even before that, you'll have the pent up demand. So those are the people who are sitting here getting stir crazy. A lot of them, are more affluent people that have cash just sitting there and they can weather this storm, but, they're not able to go to their favorite, destination or fly down to Cabo or any of that because it's been closed. So, we're looking at bookings are starting to come in, especially in 5-star resorts and actually across the board for Q4.
Really?
Starting October, November, December, fall time.
So
There are
people
new
are
bookings
confident
coming.
that's we're already going to be back to normal come October, November.
Well, yeah, I think that they may be confident. There's a few there's a few things at play. So, you're going to have, when you look at borders being open. So nobody knows what borders are going to be open to whom. And, I can promise you, if you look at somebody like Japan, they're not going to be letting a bunch of New Yorkers in the near future, and so how do you do that without instituting, some sort of ban or limitation on US as a whole? And that's going to happen all over the place. And, I don't want to call it racism, but it's definitely, coronaism,
Yeah.
if that's even a word, to where, areas that are impacted, countries are going to close their borders to for a long time. I also think you're going to see countries change, how they allow you to come into the country. So we've seen those automated passport machines in the US and also abroad, but I think that you're going to see some sort of, temperature testing, a lot of what you see in Asian countries when you go into there or cross borders into China, that are going to be the new norm. And I even think that in larger hotels, you're going to probably see that. So before they closed, you saw the Wynn was doing a thermal scan on people coming into the casino. And if your temperature looked high or you looked like you had a cough, they pulled you aside and wouldn't let you come in. And I think that that's going to happen at least for the near term future.
And that's insane. Like how we don't think about all the things like this that are going to be impacted. So does that like, how do you reimagine travel then? Like do like, what's a concept? Like take Vegas, which is such a big part of the hotel business.
Yeah.
How does Vegas like get back to normal? Like, what is it going to take? Is it going to be a vaccine for people to feel comfortable?
I think a lot of it, there's fear, and fear is going to play a huge part in all of this. And, with fear comes, people's inability to grasp going anywhere in large groups and those sort of things. And so Vegas, where it's going to take a little bit of time to bounce back, is not necessarily the leisure traveler. I think people will start, that's sort of the ramp up. We'll start to get more comfortable. You want to go see Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, and they're like, yeah, I'm cool with it, and start to be okay. Where I think there's going to be a larger impact are those conventions. I know that larger or mid-sized sort of groups will be accepted and they'll have smaller conventions. But when you look at sending somebody, there's a travel week that actually comes to Vegas called Travel Week from Virtuoso, and you have like 8,000 hotels and agents slammed into a convention center. I mean, that's not necessarily the first place I would want to go. Or you look, we travel, there's all these travel shows. One of the largest ones out in Berlin is called ITB. 150,000 people attend. from all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to think twice before possibly attending that. So my point is even in Vegas, there's going to be time that it'll take to ramp up, and people have to feel comfortable. And then, people also have to be able to come, even if they want to. The beauty of travel ends up being that it's like innate within all human beings, like our thirst and our yearn to go explore. And so we're incredibly resilient. And as you know, with all tragedies and things such as this, we also have a very, for better or for worse, humans also have a very short-term memory.
Yeah.
And so they're definitely going to start to move on, and you're going to be like, yeah, LA is great, but I need to get out of here. Like, I'm going down to Cabo, screw it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll roll the dice. And then the other thing that we see, which is human nature, is at some point, if you go and it's like, oh, if you go to Vegas, you have a 50% chance of catching Corona. Well, if the rates were normally $200 and now they're 50, you're gonna be like, yeah, but I'll be the 50% that don't get it, not
Yeah.
the 50% that get it. That
Yeah.
$59 rates got me
Yeah.
ready to go.
It's true. I mean, there's a price where people give up their fear, right?
Crazy. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. But I mean, we see it.
And so you're talking to all these big hotel companies. When do they feel like they're going to reopen?
Oh, dude, I mean, it's all over the board. You look at there's a company called STR that Star Reporting that reports every week occupancies. So week over week, occupancies dropped to just over 19% across the U.S. And a lot of that has to deal with not people traveling in a leisure fashion, or going on vacation, but medical people.
Yeah.
And so other hotels are at zero, which just aren't open.
Yeah.
I don't foresee stuff starting to come back slowly until June. There's even a lot of people who have said they're not reopening until 4th of July weekend. So, I mean, it's not to say that we won't be able to go outside and interact, but there's going to be limited options. And then when you look at it, all these hotels have laid off thousands and thousands of people. Like, you don't just ramp up full staff overnight. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so what I see happening is you'll have hotels open with the pool closed and the restaurant closed.
Got it.
Yeah, and that'll be open to the business traveler. And there's going to be this huge lull period where there's a ton of confusion because people won't know what amenities are open or not. And if you're a family traveling, obviously all of those things are critical.
Absolutely.
When you're a business traveler, you're like, whatever. And that's why I also think business travel will be the first to bounce back.
Yeah. Because
business has to go on. And if you have to have that meeting, you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some long-lasting damages that'll happen to the hotel business or travel industry with all this? That, like, even with time, it won't heal. This, like, changed something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, one of the long-lasting things are, there's going to be, some of it's a good thing to where there's a larger awareness around pandemics such as this. But I also think that countries now know they have to do more to screen people coming in. So, if you look at 9/11, everybody's going back and saying, we're afraid of the terrorists. Well, shit, this is the worst terrorist that's ever been out there, to every industry.
Yeah.
And so countries are going to have to adapt, which could lead to, one being more restrictive as to where we can go and for how long. And then also, it may take more time. The beauty of the world of travel is we've been getting incredibly efficient in the way that you could just enter a country, travel over there, pop on a flight, go on a jumper flight. You can go everywhere and anywhere. And it really has been the democratization of travel. But I think that that's going to slow down, and borders are not going to be as loose as they once were. Yeah. And that's going to be a long-term impact that won't change overnight.
Okay, on a positive note, where's the opportunity?
I mean, for us, like in my business, I mean, the opportunity is there's going to be a lot of competitors that don't make it through. So, unfortunately, even though you don't want to see people go out of business during this time, that's going to happen. The opportunity is there if you have strong partnerships to double down on them. So, we have a lot of strong partnerships in Vegas, such as ours with MGM Resorts, for example, and you double down on those relationships that you've had. We have relationships with basically all the major hotels in Vegas and around North America. So you double down with those brands, you'll get new deals for people traveling. You're going to see some discounted travel everywhere. And so now would be the time to start to book, up that trip that maybe you've always wanted to go to, because hotel rates will inevitably be discounted. Flights will be discounted once they open up flights again. Right now, the few flights, the prices have actually gone up because they've cut down on the supply of them. So there's huge opportunity there. And I think that, with everything, when things happen badly, it allows for fresh eyes to come back into the industry and fresh opportunity for, say, like a savvy investor like yourself to maybe to be able to afford to jump into a hotel investment. Because I mean, the industry has been just cranking for the last 10 years plus. And so a lot of ways, unless you know what you're doing, you're going to, you can never enter into the hotel industry as a whole.
So from an investment standpoint, you do think this is an opportunistic time, and it's not like you feel that travel's innate, business will go on. We will bounce back from it fairly.
Yeah, travel, no matter what, will bounce back. Like, again, it's just in our DNA, not just as Americans, it's globally.
Yeah.
And so people will always travel. And that's a good thing. The silver lining about our industry is it people and the industry is incredibly resilient. There's a lot that has happened, but I can tell you the biggest thing, at least from my industry standpoint, and, even speaking with you, we're in two different industries. What's happened is, in every industry, there are those small select few who are the arrogant assholes who everything's always perfect.
Yeah.
And they're so good. They're so much better. And I think that what's happened now is it's humbled everybody. So even the biggest asshole is now humbled and just like, wow, this is terrible. And they're actually going a complete 180, being the most empathetic towards other people, which I think is amazing. And, what else I see is, if you're still an asshole, you'll be left in quarantine, because the world has woken up and realized how connected we all are, whether it's travel from a business standpoint, and what started as a China problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're all in this together. China's sending resources to, Italy. We're helping out wherever we can. Countries are helping one another. Companies are helping one another in different industries. I mean, I've even heard of people giving away their patents to make, supplies for people. I mean, that's the silver lining, I think, in almost all of this, is when you travel somewhere else, you're going to be empathetic and be like, that person was struggling just like I was 2 months ago, 6 months ago, last week, whatever it ends up being.
That's amazing.
Which is incredible. That's very empowering, I think.
I mean, I'm a believer that people just enjoy traveling way too much.
Oh yeah.
To me, this is just like a 6-12 month. And by the way, once I think there's a vaccine, then old people get back into it too. Young people will take advantage of it first, but it'll just.
I do think cruises are screwed for a while, though.
Yeah, I actually think that's an industry I don't see, just from a hygiene kind of standpoint. People always made fun of it, but now it's effectively deadly. So
I think that one's gonna be damaged for a while. Unfortunately, but like I said, at some point people try everything again, and we'll bounce back and forget that this happened, but hopefully be more prepared for the next time.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope business roars back quickly.
We're planning now. That's where these opportunities, what we've been doing is, how do you reinvent your competitor? Now that you have time to, how would they market? How would they enter, into your industry? What would they be doing better than you, more efficiently than you? And, really taking that time to dismantle our whole entire company. So
that's great advice. I mean, that's kind of what I've been thinking about too. That's very true. It's a gift to be able to even think like that.
No, it's crazy. I'm an eternal optimist. We're all going to be good. People are going to be able to travel. And I think that there's a lot of positive that has come out of this negative already. So We'll be back traveling. Can't wait to come see you again.
Yeah, for sure.
Out, la la.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Take care. Stay safe. Love you, brother.
Bye-bye.